All right, let's continue styling this. Although at the end of last video, I should have gone to GitHub Desktop again and just, it's good to do this every once in a while and be like, oh yeah, I updated style.css. I could even be more specific, style inputs and button for this commit, right? And that commit saves it. So now I have the history, right? My initial commit, my finished HTML, I added the exclamation mark, and now I styled the inputs and button. And then, of course, to save all of those changes onto GitHub, I push origin. And that's important because if I'm working at home now, I want to make sure I'm updating, right? I'm working at home, I want to use GitHub Desktop to update my GitHub so that when I get back to school, I can use GitHub Desktop to synchronize what's here to my school computer. So I always have the most up-to-date code. Okay, so now that that was done, right? Two buttons, commit, push, easy. Okay, now I want to talk about something really important, the class selector. Class selector. So far in our CSS, we've always just done something called an element an element selector. Select the body element. Select all input elements. Select all button elements. Select all button elements in the hover state, right? So there's something called a class selector. And we need it now because let's start with this final, the luminance equals 0. And I could make this bigger by making it a heading, but it's not a heading, right? It's not a title or a heading of anything. So it should be a paragraph, but I'm just going to style it so it's a bigger paragraph that draws more attention. All right, however, if I go here and I select p tag, right? Because this luminance equals 0 is a paragraph, right? So if I do the p tag and I go font size 28 pixels, I think the default font size is usually 16 pixels, I believe. So font size 28 should make it quite a bit bigger. Let's save that, and you'll notice, okay, that's bigger, but this became 28 pixels as well, as did the R, G, and the B here. So that's not what I want, right? I don't want everything to get bigger. I just want this to be normal and this to be bigger. I could even make it bigger yet. Okay, so how do I do it so that I don't select all paragraphs? I just want to select this individual paragraph. Well, the way that we do it, right, because there's all these paragraphs here, well, this one doesn't have any text content, so the font size doesn't impact that very much. There's just an image in there. Okay, but here, I'm going to go inside of the opening tag, do a space, and we can add a class attribute. So the word class equals, and you give it a name. And let's just call this luminance. It's a pretty good name, I think. I'm just going to highlight that. I did shift and arrow keys there, or you can double click it. I'm going to hit Control C to copy that. And now we'll save my HTML. Now, in order to select this element, I can select elements with this class. So instead of P here, to select a class, we just use a dot or a period, and then the name of the class. And if I hover over this with my mouse, see, it shows me select all elements where the class is equal to luminance. Right? You can see that here. All elements where the class is luminance. So it doesn't have to just be paragraphs. But let's just make sure this works. Yeah, so this is the regular font size now, and this one's bigger. Let's make it even bigger again. Let's go 32 pixels. Cool. Now, what I want you to notice here is that it says select all elements with the class luminance. So I could go here, and maybe I can go to my button. And I'm going to go to my button, and I'm going to add a class attribute of luminance. And that should change the font size of the button as well to be the same font size that the class has. Right? And if I actually select this, you can see, yeah, see, this is the style that's applied, the dot luminance, font size 32. Cool. And then the same thing here, if I click the button, yeah, the dot luminance style applies. All right. Now, we don't want to do that for this website, but I just wanted to show you that you can add that class to any element, basically. And it'll apply the styles to that element with that class. Okay, so that gives us a lot more power. Instead of selecting all elements, we can kind of fine tune. I want to select this one or these 2 or 3. You can choose those elements. All right, so let's do some more fine tuning here. I think I do this RGB. I'd like to be a little higher, a little bigger font, not quite as big as this one. So let's do the same thing on this paragraph. Let's add a class of inputs. Right, this paragraph has all the inputs in it and the button. So we'll save that, and in here I will go dot inputs, right? Select all elements that have the class inputs, which is just the one paragraph, and we'll give this a font size of maybe 18 pixels. No, I think I wanted a little bit, or maybe 20. Save that. So now the RGB here should be a little bigger. Let's just verify. Right, if I click this paragraph, yep, font size 20 pixels. Now, this part is interesting because I'm pretty sure sometimes CSS has these like orders of importance or specificity, they call it, I think. So input elements, even though I said, hey, these input elements are inside of the paragraph, I'm pretty sure the input element font size doesn't tell me what the font size is, but I don't think it's bigger, right? It doesn't look any bigger. Same with the buttons. They kind of don't get impacted by this this class that we did on the paragraph. So we need to specifically, if I wanted the inputs to be bigger, I just have to specifically go through those inputs. Say maybe I want them a little bigger at 18 pixels. Okay, and that font, yeah, that looks a little bigger now. Okay, I don't know if this looks as big as I thought it would be with the this one here. Let's change these inputs maybe a little bit bigger. And this is where I get CSS. It's so finicky. Oh, I like it a little bigger, and you can be so picky. Anyway, this looks better. Those are a little bigger. Cool. Maybe the button should have a slightly bigger font too. So we'll just do that here. Font size 20 pixels. Actually, let's make it the same as the inputs. 22 pixels. Like so. Okay, the button looks a little more prominent now. Okay, I think we're almost done here. This HR shouldn't be so wide. Okay, so we can change that just by selecting an HR and give it a width of maybe 700 pixels. Yeah, that looks better. What color did I do here? Oh, a nice red. So we'll change that. Links, we just select the A tag, right? And we'll say color red. Let's get rid of the text decoration none. So we get rid of the underline. And then when we hover over it, text decoration, not text align, text decoration underline. There we go. Okay, that's kind of a common thing I like to do. So it still has that underline because that's people recognize when something's underlined, it's usually a link. And go from there. Okay, some fonts. I think we should change font families. Let's just do a body. Maybe we'll do a font family of Arial. So this is going to be, I like to call this the, the base font. This is how you can do a comment with a /* and the //. That's a CSS comment. And the base font just means, because I applied it to the body, everything in the body should have that font, unless we specified a different font that's more specific, right? The body's pretty general, but the button is more specific. So for example, maybe my H1 I want to be different, right? So let's save that. Everything's now Arial. But if I go back to here, let's slide into here and select my H1, and maybe this H1 is going to be Verdana. And again, it has the backup fonts just in case it can't find that one. There we go. Okay. And oh yeah, okay, a couple other things. Notice this one that everything's capitalized, but just the first ones are bigger. That is something called small caps. So we can do a font variant called small caps. And basically, it makes the capital letters big and the lowercase letters small capital letters. Like so. Cool. And then a little bit of spacing. It's a little cramped here. This heading is right close to the top and right close to this. So I think we should get some more space above and below the heading. And for that, we can just do margin. All right, that's margin is used to spread out or separate the elements. So on this element, or this H1 element, we'll do margin. And top and bottom, let's do like 30 pixels, and left and right 0, because there's nothing to the left and right. Save that. And it looks like it didn't space very much. It already has margin, so it probably, let's try 50. It probably didn't change. There we go. That looks like a lot more space. Color brightness calculator, some space. We got the image here. This looks good. That's styled. We got these wonderful RGB values. I'm happy with this, I think. Calculate luminance, little hover. Looks good to me. Oh, yeah, maybe not exact. I don't know if I'm just zoomed. Oh, see, I got a little minus here. No wonder it looks smaller. Anyway, I was zoomed in. So, you know, it's close enough for me. Maybe some of the fonts are a little bigger. Maybe I space things out, different fonts, who knows. Anyway, that looks pretty good. And I think we'll stop here. Okay, so I'm gonna make sure GitHub desktop, right? So what's my commit here? I'll just say finished styles, and we'll commit that, and then I push origin. So I think I'll make another quick video when I get back to school tomorrow, and I'll make sure that, right, if I hit refresh here, right, finished styles is there. So the style sheet should be up to date. Yeah, it's got all the small caps and everything. So everything's up to date on GitHub now. So when I get back to school tomorrow, I'll synchronize what's on GitHub and update what's on my school computer. And we'll do a quick video for that. Okay, hope that made sense. Take care, and we'll see you in the next video.